everybody. This is Gina Cavalier, and this is the Liberated Healer podcast. And today we're here to talk about water, and I've got all this beautiful water behind me. And what an amazing topic that impacts all of our lives. So I have Victor Sagalovsky on. Hello.
Hi, Gina. How are you?
Good. So he's the co-founder and CEO of Lightwater Scientific. And can you tell us a little bit about how you got here, why this is so important to you?
I've been a health researcher and a crusader for most of my life. As soon as I realized you are what you eat, which happened to me in my early 20s. So I pursued the understanding of human physiology, of biochemistry, of optimization of human health. So that got me to water because we're mostly water. So that's really where it all starts. If you're not drinking the right water, then how can anything else you do on top of that or downstream of that have any impact? Yeah. So water became my obsession and now profession.
And that's a wonderful thing. And you came from the Soviet Union when you were just a little toddler, it looks like, right?
I was 7 years old when we came from the Soviet Union. So I speak Russian, but I started first grade in the United States. So I've got a foot in both worlds. It was really fun growing up because when I left the house, I was in America. When I came home, I was in behind the Iron Curtain. So it was a very, very odd growing up in a multicultural family like that, or a multicultural. Under my multicultural identity, I would say.
And, that's just what's so beautiful about all of us, and I love talking to people from around the world with different cultures and understandings. And so for the water, can you tell us a little bit about the science that you're working with and driven to regarding water and how it affects us?
Right. So we know water is H2O, right? That much we understand. Didn't have to get through too much of chemistry or science class to know that water is H2O. And there's a little bit of water in water that's not H2O. So if you take a liter of water, which translates to 20,000 drops, right? So 20,000 drops makes a liter, and you would think, okay, well, that's water, H2O. But out of those 20,000 drops in a liter, 6 of those drops is in a configuration as HOD or HDO. So that H is the predominant form of hydrogen that exists in the universe. It's like 99.98% of all hydrogen is this hydrogen 1. And that D is hydrogen 2, which is an isotope. That's what it's called. So it's just like the regular hydrogen except the addition of a neutron, which makes it twice the mass. So it also binds with oxygen because it is a type of hydrogen to create water. And this water is known as semi-heavy water, or if it's D2O, it's known as heavy water. And heavy water is used in nuclear reactors and other things like that. It's a very rare water, and that's good because it's incompatible with our biology. So if you synthesize D2O in a laboratory, and there's not much D2O in the world, like 1 out of every 41 million molecules of water is D2O, but 1 out of every 3,300 roughly molecules of water is this HDO. So we have this deuterium problem, that's the D. And so if you synthesize pure heavy water in a laboratory, and it looks like water, tastes like water, but if you drink it and exclusively, somewhere between the 3rd and 5th day, you die. So it's not metabolically compatible with our energy production pathways in our body. So for a long time, this problem has been known about, that there's a very slight amount of this deuterium or HDO in water, and everybody thought it was just really no big deal. It technically is not harmful, but over time it slows us down. And from all the science of the last 60 years, it shows us that this is really one of the main reasons why we age, is this accumulation of deuterium. And this is now being looked at by modern science. And in fact, there's a branch of biochemistry now called deuteronomics, which endeavors to explain how the body manages deuterium. So they didn't think it was a big deal, but I think it's a big deal, and more people are starting to realize that, because yes, you can live a long and healthy life without even worrying about it. But my interest is, how do you extend youth? How do you extend the health span? How do you extend the lifespan? How do you perform at the same level when you're 50 that you did when you were 25? And can it be done? So if that is to be done, we have to understand the aging process. We have to understand what slows us down as we age. And deuterium is that thing, or one of those things, but it's a foundational problem that we all have on this planet. And the planet has been increasing in how much deuterium is in the water over time.
Oh.
So yeah, our species is somewhere between 150 and 300,000 years old, and 100,000 plus years ago, there was less deuterium on the planet. And if the longer you go back in time, the less deuterium there was. So, and we have a problem now is this modern diet that we're on, which is not only excessive carbohydrate intake, but also hydrogenated oils, and also overconsumption of food. Humans didn't evolve to eat 3 to 5 meals a day. And we certainly didn't evolve to be sedentary. We didn't evolve to eat predominantly carbohydrates. So our physiology hasn't caught up to these problems yet.
Yeah.
So a great intervention is to drink water that has less deuterium in it. And that's why we started our company, because we artificially produce or reduce this contaminant out of the water. And this is a new standard in water purity. 100 years ago, people were drinking out of the well and out of the tap, and they didn't know what contaminants were there. So a standard came in that was distillation, and that cleaned the water. Like rainwater is distilled water. It's very clean. And then after that, another standard came in the 60s, late 60s, which was reverse osmosis, which cleaned the water of most contaminants. And now we have a new standard, which is removing or reducing. You can't remove all of it, but you can reduce significantly this amount of deuterium from the water, or this molecule. This is HDO, which has this heavy hydrogen in it, this hydrogen 2, known as deuterium. So over time, when you drink deuterium depleted water, you reduce the burden in your own body of this deuterium. Now, there's not much of it. There's like between 1 and 4 grams in a regular human being. But there's a cumulative effect that happens, because after almost 70 years of study on this, it's shown how it does its damage. And it's very mechanical. It's just a mechanical problem that we have. It's like putting the wrong fuel in your car or putting the wrong size tire on your vehicle. It's a very mechanical issue. So by reducing it, you increase the amount of energy that your body has, functional energy, not adrenal energy like coffee or something like that, but actual net energy benefit over time that saves your energy production pathways in the mitochondria. So this is a fantastic intervention for people. Unfortunately, right now it's expensive. It's very difficult to produce. It takes a lot of energy. There's not much available, but this is the beginningness of something. And everybody that's on it is very excited, because it's a very easy thing that somebody could do to increase their health span or increase their vitality. It's really just about vitality, because it's all an energy game, right? So the more energy you have, the better you play the game. So this is one of these foundational interventions.
And I know what I'm getting a lot of people for Christmas this year now.
Well,
I love the functional things that really are going to help them. But yeah, I never heard of this word deuterium, so I'm kind of intaking that. And then it also has that kind of inflection that's,
it doesn't make it sound good. It's the hydrogen 1 is known as protium, and hydrogen 2, which was discovered in 1931. Before that, they didn't know that there were different versions of hydrogen, is known as deuterium, from the word dew to. So the problem with deuterium is it's twice the mass of protium. That's the inherent problem. So it's like a square peg in a round hole. Everything in our body that needs hydrogen, when it gets a deuterium, it goes, whoa, this is not the same as regular hydrogen. It's twice the mass. And when something's twice the mass, it slows everything else down. If you woke up tomorrow and you were twice the mass that you are now, you'd have to figure out how to conduct yourself a little bit differently. So
yeah, and you have here that 20% of deuterium in water. There's some locations that have less deuterium, that they have 40 times more, or I mean, more cancer, the more deuterium you have to as well. Cancer.
Yeah. So the first part of that, the way this was discovered that when you reduce deuterium from water actually has some biological benefit was looking at a couple populations in Siberia that had water they were drinking there that naturally had about, well, in this case, 16% less deuterium. And some places on the planet, there's some anomalies. We can get into that, but just know that there's some places in the world that has less deuterium than others, and those are rare. But the people that live in those places enjoy a longer lifespan, and they're generally healthier and free of disease. So that when this was discovered, they wanted to understand why, and they honed in on the water and saw that it was because of this deuterium problem.
I think you got something here. When I went to Cambodia, they have the giant cement vessels that capture all the rainwater because it rains so much there. So, I mean, without knowing or, looking at it, I can only imagine that rainwater, and they actually just shine. Their bodies just vibrate a cleanliness, a healthiness.
Cambodia, you said?
Yeah, in Cambodia. So, I don't know. They eat really well too. They eat, they have really good meals, with a lot of fruits and vegetables. They don't really eat all the stuff that we eat, but the rainwater was a big deal because that's how they get most of their water.
Well, it's pure. It's just actually distilled water. So the goal is to put the same water in your body, or as close to possible as the water that we make. The water that is inside of our cells, inside the mitochondria, and these nano-confined spaces where energy is made, is not water that we drink. It's not water that we consume. It's water that we make from scratch.
Yeah.
And this water is already 50 to 70% depleted in deuterium. So the water that we make, our body is actively trying to keep this deuterium from energy production because that's where the damage is done. So it would go to figure, logic would dictate that if we put in a water into our body externally, closer to the water that we make, closer to our metabolic water, it'll be less taxing on the body.
Yeah.
It's kind of simple.
We already have to contend with all the other stuff too, like it coming in through pipes and picking up lead, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When I can really feel the water changes, like if I go to someone's house and take a shower in a different location or something, and you can almost feel like it's not clean water and it's got a metal taste to it. And it just, I don't know, like water's a big deal. You instantly, when you can feel that kind of consuming.
Our bodies want water. And when you give them something that has particulates in it, total dissolved solids, that makes the water heavier in general, not just on the deuterium side, but just contaminants, elements, minerals, pesticides, whatever it is. Our bodies have to deal with that. Yeah. So it's very smart to just give yourself pure water if it's possible. Now, on the cancer side, you brought that up. There's a scientist that has his own deuterium depleted water company in Hungary who's been studying this for much longer than I have. I would say 30 plus years. And he has over 3,000 case studies of people that he's given DDW to, deuterium depleted water. And he found two things. One, he found that your survivability. Now, let me preface this by saying, he's not saying if you have cancer, he didn't say, here, drink this water and stop everything else. If whatever you're going through, whether you're dealing with it naturally with herbs or alternative medicine or holistic medicine, or if you're doing chemotherapy, he didn't alter that treatment for them. He just said, just consume this water so your body can have less deuterium, because if you consume DDW in a period of 3 months or longer, your body will go down by 20%, ideally. So he found that there was an 8 to 10x survivability rate with people that were deuterium depleted. And so his whole premise, what made him so passionate about this in the beginning, is he identified that oncogenes are genes that make you more susceptible or at higher risk of getting cancer. He found that the deuterium to hydrogen ratio, that that hydrogen 1 to hydrogen 2 ratio in the body determine whether these oncogenes got turned on or off. And I think this is why we're censored on Wikipedia, because this is a huge discovery, that if you just reduce the deuterium level in your body, now you can do it even without deuterium depleted water. You could do it through diet, fasting, lifestyle. It's not going to be as effective. It'll be a little harder, but I should say that you can do it without drinking our water. So my point is that if you just change that deuterium to hydrogen ratio, according to Dr. Gabor Shamlai, that you you reduce the risk of getting cancer. I mean, that's to me, it's huge, but unfortunately, they won't let us put that on Wikipedia. It gets
not yet, but that's why we have these things where that's why podcasts are amazing right now. We're able to talk about the things that we need to talk about without all of the control, and we're getting there, and people are pushing back and saying this is information that we need to have. So of course,
absolutely. And if you want to get there without drinking DDW, if you want to reduce the deuterium in your body, just switch to a ketogenic or keto adapted diet and eat less carbs. Just start there, and eat less sugars, eat less carbs, eat more fat. And in fact, your body produces 3.5 times more energy from fat than it does from sugars and carbohydrates anyway.
Yeah.
So and then eat less. That's the other problem. We're terribly over consuming, eating way more than we need, and this really gunks us up. So it just shows you it's very simple. When you slow down your energy production pathways, then errors can arise, right? You just have more problems, and these compound one on top of the other, which eventually leads to some kind of debilitating condition. And some people are more susceptible to cancer risk. So you don't have that when you're younger. Well, hopefully not, because your body accumulates this as you get older. So it just gets worse as we go on. And it gets harder and harder. And my goal for people and for myself is to be conscious of the fact that these things are cumulative. So just a little bit of reduction in deuterium over a long time makes an enormous amount of difference.
Well, can I ask you, how old are you?
I'm 50.
Because you have a really good air about you. Your eyes are very clear, and I think that's the way I can tell somebody's health as well a lot. And you just have you don't look your age, but
that's why I get that a lot. And yeah, thank you. That's purely, that's intentional, because I'm selfish in that sense. I don't want to age, or I just want to age slower. So when you reduce the deuterium in your body, it does wonders for the skin. I mean, even there's a great study out of China that shows your collagen layer is twice as thick when you have less deuterium. So there's some wonderful benefits that you have. This not other than energy. I mean, purely superficial kind of benefits, aesthetic benefits. So I don't feel my age either.
Well, I told you earlier, I'm staying in a temporary place, and all I have right now is they had the Brita there, and then I went and got some spring water, but I couldn't even drink the Brita stuff. Do you have any information about, is that really kind of helping people kind of clear out some of the things, or it's also clearing out some of the good things?
Well, specifically Brita filters and those types of filters in general, they're probably good for the first week, but the bacteria buildup is the problem with those.
Oh my goodness. Everybody's freaking out right now. A week?
Seriously. I mean, unless you unless you have to do something to get rid of the bacteria, because those membranes are notorious for harboring bacteria, right? It's wet and it's just sitting there. So reverse osmosis filtration, you should, if you have a reverse osmosis system, it should be a tankless system. And this comes from my partner is one of the founders of reverse osmosis technology going back almost more than 50 years actually, and he discovered these things. And so he recommends that if anybody does have an RO system, that it's a tankless system, because that tank that holds the water, it's also harbors bacteria. So unless you're willing to clean it every couple of weeks, you're really asking for trouble. So if the bacteria count gets too high, then that could cause problems for our health. So by all means, reverse osmosis is very good. Excellent way to filter your water, if that's all you want to do. If you don't want to get to that standard of deuterium depletion, or not ready for it, or can't afford it, at least have some clean water. And you could distill your water, or you can go reverse osmosis, but make sure there's no tank. And so these Brita filters, those filters can harbor bacteria. So you have to replace the filter, or use some kind of disinfectant through it, but that's the thing that people overlook. They overlook that you have this membrane that's wet, and it has a lot of surface area. So of course it's going to harbor bacteria. So yeah, be careful with those. Now, if you you could always get a good spring water at the store.
Yeah.
There's no problem there. Glacial water is the best water that you could drink, because it's the one that has less particulates in it.
Yeah. I think they recommend on the filters, change it once or twice a month, or something so I don't think their even recommended changes are in line with what you're saying, but that makes sense.
But it's close, right? If they're saying change it twice a month, then you know why. It's not because the filter's bad. It's because it harbors bacteria. It's a breeding ground.
Oh my goodness gracious! I'm just all like, so I'm like, I gotta go change all this stuff.
Sorry for the bad news.
But so you were saying in different parts of the earth, are they creating different parts because based on maybe?
Well, our planet is a water planet. It's covered with ocean, and less than 1% of the water on our planet is potable water. It's water that we drink. So the ocean's deuterium level is 155.76. So if you're somewhere near the ocean, that means you're influenced by the hydrological cycle from the ocean. So anywhere that you're far enough away from the ocean, or that has either a localized weather pattern, or extremely north or south latitudes where the hydrological cycle is amplified, in those places, you're going to find slightly less deuterium. So for example, if you're on the eastern slope of the Rocky Mountains in the United States, like Boulder, around there, you'll have a water that comes out of the tap that's like 5 to 10% less than if you're on the coast. And so somebody living there for 10, 15 years is gonna have an incredible health benefit compared to living somewhere coastal. For example, if you took twins, identical twins, so they're genetically identical, and feed them the same thing, their diet and lifestyle, make it identical, but put one in Los Angeles and put one in Montana, where you're from.
Yeah.
And you're going to find that twin that's in Montana is going to age slower and going to have more energy, because over time they have less deuterium in their body.
And when you drink the water out of the tap, it almost tastes, it's kind of refreshing. It just feels a lot. You can do that now in Los Angeles,
Well, Montana is unique because it's in the middle of the country. It's away from the ocean. There's less deuterium in there. And it's a cleaner water. It's a water that's more compatible with your body. It's more compatible with your body's ability to produce energy.
Oh, they don't have any way you don't have like a system where you could, like a keto tester where you could test the water.
We do. I started a lab, deuteriumtest.com. It's also available on our website, drinklightwater.com. Lightwater is spelled L-I-T-E-W-A-T-E-R.
Yes.
And we test water, we test saliva, we can test just about any liquid, but saliva is a great indicator of what your body's doing. And if you want, you can test your water where you are just to see what the deuterium level is. Most of this data is publicly available. It's just not easy to find, but every state does measure the delta D, or delta deuterium, the difference in deuterium from what's known as Vienna standard mean ocean water, which is the average on the planet. So Montana happens to have less deuterium in their groundwater than, let's say, California or New York.
And you can tell the difference. It's almost immediate. It's immediate when you start taking showers there and drinking there. I mean, the air is dry, but I don't know. There's something. It just absorbs in a different way.
And that filters down to your food, right? To the animals, to the plants that are grown there. And so people that live there, unless they're doing something that is negative, has a negative impact on their health, they will generally be healthier, happier, lighter on their feet, and maybe even live longer. That's complex. I think that has to do. There's multi-factors there, but the health span certainly is increased.
And I just kind of think that this is a great thing to talk about with people. We go back to cancer. It's like a lot of people are coming out right now with a lot of different cancers that are coming out, and if you're trying to look for an all body fix, I don't think a lot of people aren't talking about the water. They're talking about, they have to do the traditional Western stuff. And then if they want to go to Eastern stuff as well, but that's like oxygen therapy, acupuncture, there's all kinds of vitamin C therapy.
All kinds of therapies, but whether you choose conventional or unconventional, you should still lower the deuterium in your body, because that's going to give you the energy that you need. The body's a self-healing organism. Yes. It's just missing the energy, right? So just give it a little bit more, the functional energy, so it has the ability to combat these problems that it has. Cancer is unique because a lot of times the body doesn't even recognize it. And so it's too late before it mounts a response. But in this case, it's just reduce the deuterium in your body by 20%, just 20%, and maintain it there. And you'll have enormous amount more energy to deal with whatever you're dealing with, whether it's mental stress or physical stress or neoplastic condition, which is cancer. You'll have a much easier time. Things are easier when they're easier.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to go down this rabbit hole. And do you have any comment on how it affects being alkaline or acidic? I mean, or that's to you not as important?
It's not that important. I think what is important is your blood maintains a certain pH, which is if it veers 0.2 of a point, you die. So the best water to drink is water that is slightly alkaline. But if it's slightly acidic, that's fine too, because the body adjusts it to whatever pH it needs when it comes in.
Okay.
So all bets are off when it enters the organism.
Okay.
Your body, we take in food and water, and we don't use that to produce the molecules that we need for life, right? Mm-hmm. We break that down into the basic building blocks, and then rebuild them into what we need, and the body rebuilds it into what it needs. So we just want those basic building blocks. So if we have those basic building blocks, then we can create just about anything. And there are certain things that we need that are essential that the body cannot make. Like we know there's 22 or more amino acids, but we know that 8 of them are essential, meaning the body cannot make those at all. So those we need to take externally, but the body can take that raw material and make it into anything that it needs. We just need some things we can't make, like vitamin C. We can't make us and gerbils. I think everybody else, every other animal can make vitamin C. So there are certain things that we absolutely need from nature, or we will slowly harm our health and eventually it'll cause our demise. But everything else the body can take as a raw material and remake into what it needs. So as soon as I learned that, it was very easy. The body wants the path of least resistance. It wants to take that path, and in so doing, it just wants the basic raw materials. It's like a factory, right? The factory gets the raw materials, and then on the other end, it pops out the finished product. But it's a lot harder if you have to take something and then break it down and recycle it and then reform it. Just give your body the basic building blocks, or closer to what we need, and it's a really elegant system. We just have to get out of the way. And the way we get out of the way is just, the mind. The mind is can sometimes be our biggest impediment to our health. Because we've been taught a certain way. And sometimes, and a lot of those things were just plain wrong. So we have to re-educate ourselves. We have to re-indoctrinate ourselves to what is right, because new information keeps coming. So we cannot, as soon as something authentic and provable comes in, unfortunately, we have to change our thinking, and we have to be teachable.
It just shakes everybody out of the trees, and they don't like it. And it's we have to do that.
Well, they say the meek shall inherit the earth, but the word meek, the translation is incorrect. The word meek is mistranslated. It's supposed to be the teachable shall inherit the earth. So it means that you have to act on new information. So new information comes in that's valid, then that becomes the right information, and what was before becomes incorrect. So we have to constantly improve ourselves by being open to things that are more, we're just learning, right? We're just learning. Yeah. So we have to be able to adapt. And humans are the most adaptable species on the planet. There's nothing, I don't know of any other species on Earth that can live in just about any environment. So we are adaptable creatures. And this is why we're so successful as a species, is because our ability to adapt. So let's not lose that. As new information comes in, let's use it, let's act upon it, and use that in a beneficial way so that we can have more life, more joy, more happiness.
I love it. I love this conversation. Water is just, energetically like so beautiful, and it's not talked about enough. That's one reason why when I saw that you wanted to be on the show, I was like, yes, I need to know more about water. We need to talk about water. This is so important. And I think it's really great that you have a free ebook as well.
Yeah, a little bit about that. So this is a lifestyle change, and it can get expensive. So I want everyone to take it seriously. I want them to read that book and understand what it is before they dive in. Yes. I really don't want anyone to try this for like a month and go, oh, it didn't work, I want to stop. Then you just wasted your own time and money. And if you want to make it work, read the ebook, because it'll guide you on how to make this work for you. And then it will be worth it. And you'll go, oh, it doesn't really matter how much it costs, because this is so invaluable, the result, but if you do it properly. So yeah, seriously, educate yourself before you get on deuterium depletion. Then you'll be excited about it as you understand it a little bit better, and then it'll work for you better.
I think it's really beautiful. And your site is Drink Light Water, and it's LITE water.com.
Yes.
And, I love that you have that accompanying ebook for people to get some understanding.
Yeah. And there's videos. I've been on a bunch of podcasts. There's start with the FAQ if you don't have much time. Yeah. We make all the information readily available and easy to digest at any level, we do a summit that's just for practitioners, scientists, doctors, so they can understand more of the biochemistry of this. Or for the layperson, it's easy to understand it as well if you just read the FAQ in the ebook.
And how does the saliva test work?
It's very easy. You just we send you a kit. You collect your saliva, you send it to us, and in a week to 2 weeks, we give you a result. And now. Wow. You can pretty much guess what your level is when you start. If you're going about this clinically and you're a biohacker, or you like to know a before and after, you can do it before you start, and you can see what your level is of deuterium in the body. It's going to be very similar to the water that you drink wherever you live.
Okay.
And then you do it 3 months after you consume DDW or light water for 3 months or so, and you should have dropped from, let's say, average person has a level in the body of 150 parts per million. And then you want to get into the 120 part per million range, and you want to stay there. And if you are ill or dealing with something, then maybe you want to get lower. In this case, I recommend reading Gabor Shamlai's book, because he's probably the most educated on the clinical side of the application of this for any kind of I don't even like to use the word. I don't even like to use the word disease. I just don't like.
Yeah.
Because once you name it.
Yep.
it's just they got you right. You named it. I mean, you look at that Merck manual. It's like, how many diseases are in here? It's like, can you just say, hey, I feel bad? So by the time you get to that point, you know, that's an added level of stress because they've named your condition. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't even want to name the condition. You just want the body you want to empower the body to be the self-healing organism that it is.
So, do you have like a monthly package where people can order?
Yeah, typically people, we offer it in glass and plastic. I'm reaching down to get a bottle. This is the most economical way to drink it. It's a 2-liter plastic bottle. They come in a case of 4 bottles or 8 liters.
Okay.
And typically people consume 2 cases per month. That gets you through about a month, and that's 16 liters. So the way you consume it is you can mix it with the water that you have now, and that gives you a linear depletion. That way, hey, you know how much, we make a 10 parts per million water. That's 94% reduced in deuterium, and we even make a 97% reduced in deuterium water, which is 5 parts per million. So let's say you have 10 parts per million, which is the bottle I just showed you. Yeah. If you mix that 1-to-1 with whatever water you drink, in Montana it'll be a little lower, but typically it'll be 80 parts per million, 1-to-1. And then you could go up to 1-to-4, which is 122 parts per million. And so people that want a nice linear depletion and they know how much water they drink per day, they'll pre-mix everything, and then they'll know what they consume daily. Or you can just go about it in a non-linear way, and you could just drink half a liter of it straight per day and then keep doing whatever else you're doing, or up to a liter per day. So there's 2 strategies, because some people don't want to do the mixing and measuring and all that. So for those people, I say just drink half a liter to 1 liter of 10 part per million per day, and you're fine. That will ensure that your deuterium levels keep going down per day, because you're only going to reduce about half a ppm to 1 ppm per day. So it doesn't, in the beginning, it doesn't really matter if you drink a lot of it or a little. The point is that when you consume water, that water, we need to replace water daily. So if the water that you consume has less deuterium than the body has, then you will slightly reduce that per day. And the next day you'll reduce a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then you just want to maintain that when you get down to the 120 range. And that's profound. I mean, if you stay on this for a long time, like a year or more, you will, most people that aren't dealing with some other issue will experience some profound changes. They'll experience what they'll experience is a newfound energy.
And you have these, what about these like elixirs and the sachets, and it says pure natural seawater on that? Is that
right? So our water we don't add any minerals to it. We don't add anything. It's super clean. And people are concerned with mineralization. Most of us are completely deficient in the minerals that we need.
Yes.
So we recommend this mineral supplement known as Quinton or Quinton, but it's French Quinton marine plasma. And this is a special type of seawater. It's actually a 120-year-old product. This was in the European pharmacopoeia. It was considered a drug for a long time, but it's a special kind of seawater. There's nothing else in it. And this is the closest thing that exists to the mineral profile of human blood. So this is really important. It's got the periodic table of elements in a vial. So we recommend this as a mineral supplement, and it's the best mineral supplement you could put in your body. And it's a special type of seawater. And you could learn, there's books been written on this. Unfortunately, most of it is in French and Spanish, but there's a lot.
A lot of very healthy people seek this stuff out because, especially when you age, I've heard of recently a few people I know, they have the sodium deficiencies, and they get put in the hospital.
Well, what happens with them? The problem there is the wrong salt.
Yes.
So they're consuming sodium chloride, pure sodium chloride, which you're not going to find on this planet. It's always going to be complexed with some colloid mix of other minerals, right? So, and on top of that, they add the wrong iodine or iodide, right? It's iodized. It's not iodine. It's iodized. And
Yeah.
this is a difficult iodine molecule to break apart. So the body, it really taxes the body. So the salt, when it's pure sodium chloride, it's terrible because your body has to pull those minerals from the bones and tissues in order to balance that sodium chloride. And this type of salt, it's hidden. It's hidden in all food that is. When we go to restaurants, I can guarantee you that maybe 1 out of 100 restaurants is using Celtic sea salt, or even less. That's using a pure salt in their food. Most are using just iodized sodium chloride. So this wreaks havoc on our thyroid. It wreaks havoc on just everything. Makes people more susceptible to gout. I mean, it's just never ending. So change the salt in your diet. Unfortunately, you don't think about these things when you go out to eat at a restaurant or fast food. So this is the problem. It's a hidden poison. And by the time you're aware of it, it's generally too late, or you have to make a really serious intervention to fix yourself.
And when this goes wrong, especially in older people, it's months in and out of the hospital. And I actually got my mom some seawater just because I happen to be in this space, and I'm lucky to have people helping me and information. But that type of stuff. And then when she came out of the hospital, she started eating chips. She's like, I need more salt. I was like, no.
It's the wrong salt. Well, yeah. If you consume the wrong salt for too long, it'll make you sensitive to any salt. So you really just got to cool it for a while.
Yeah.
But then as homeostatic balance is restored in the body, you can start consuming salt again, but not sodium chloride. Celtic sea salt really is the best salt out there because it's fully mineralized. It's the ocean. Right? It's the concentrated ocean, and we're the ocean. We have an ocean inside us, so we don't want to disbalance that ocean. And what's the number one surgery for women over 40? It's the removal of the thyroid.
Is that true?
I believe so. Yeah, if you look it up. And why? Because of that table salt, the wrong iodine, mercury poisoning. These are problems that just compound. And so it's very simple. Just don't put in bad stuff into your body. Most of these diseases are diet related. And diet related that means it was your choice to put that in your body. And ignorance is no excuse to say, I didn't know. I went to Red Lobster, and I went to McDonald's. And it tastes good. How did I know? Well, ignorance is no excuse. You should know that we have a problem in our country is that the food that is commercially available is deficient in minerals.
And we're just suffering silently, quietly, slowly, and then we wonder, and then we have to go to doctors, and we wonder.
Yeah, if you just start out with whole foods, unfortunately, that means that you're cooked for yourself. But it's really much better than the alternative, which is hospitalization and then prescription drugs for the rest of your life, and God forbid surgery to remove something that should never be removed. So really, we have to take health matters into our own hands.
And how does your protium generator work? Does that
it's very simple.
Okay.
So hydrogen, which is the predominant fuel of our biology, right?
Okay.
Our body uses hydrogen to produce ATP, or the protium version of hydrogen, not the hydrogen 1, not the deuterium, which is hydrogen 2. So when we supplement with hydrogen, it's fantastic because it's like giving the building block of what the body needs already in that state that's already been reduced from food. So normally a healthy microbiome, our gut, produces about 2 liters of hydrogen gas, or H2, per day. And if you have a dysbiosis, if your gut's not functioning well, you won't produce that hydrogen. So hydrogen supplementation is good. Whether you're healthy or unhealthy, no matter what you do, your body will take it. It's a basic building block that it uses for everything. So through the process of electrolysis, this little machine, and there's many versions of this, what it does, it just breaks the water into hydrogen and oxygen. And that H2 molecule, which escapes very quickly. Hydrogen is the escape artist. I mean, it'll tunnel through glass. It'll tunnel through just about everything. So you have to drink it very quick. So you, through the process of cracking that water, breaking it into hydrogen and oxygen, you consume the H2 hydrogen. And you can get this many different ways. You can breathe it in. There are machines that you can breathe the hydrogen. You can use this little portable device like our protium generator, or you can take a pill. There's a tablet that you put in water, and it makes the water, it dissolves in the water, and it breaks the molecules of water into hydrogen and oxygen. And you drink it right away, and you get the benefit of hydrogen. And if you go to the Molecular Hydrogen Institute, you can learn everything that you want and more about hydrogen supplementation.
I love all their big words. I'm sorry. I'm just like, well, that is really very, I just get blown away by your smarts and your passion for water. And it's also a spiritual thing to me. I mean, do you feel that way? I mean, this is something that you had to dive into, mind, body, and spirit.
It is spiritual, absolutely. The spirit is strength. The spirit is strengthened when the body is strengthened. You know, a weak body does not promote a healthy spirit. So if you want to, your energy is not only physical, it's also spiritual. So and there's a lightness of being that happens when you reduce the deuterium in your body. There's a lightness of being when you figure out that you need less than more. The body, we overeat, we drink the wrong water, we even overbreathe. You know, this is a problem people have. Overbreathe, yeah. Mouth breathing, huffing, puffing when you're exercising, trying to catch your breath. You know, we only, if we needed to breathe for oxygen, we would only need 1 breath per minute. Did you know that?
No.
We breathe because we need to exhale carbon dioxide. That's really why we're breathing. I mean, our oxygen requirements are not super high compared to our requirement to exhale the carbon dioxide, it's the waste product. So we are chronically overdoing it. So when we simplify things, then that's a spiritual experience. It's the moment between the breaths that puts us in the present moment.
Yeah.
So, like my friend says, the most important room is room for improvement.
Oh, I love that line. Oh, well, you're a beautiful person, Victor. And thank you so much for all this information today. And I am not kidding you. I've got my Christmas presents lined up because, I really want people to feel a change in their body. And I have a lot of ill friends and family and people that are suffering. And we're really trying to look at a lot of different avenues for them, and that one of the reasons why I do this show. And, I think this is a baseline that has been missing even in my life and a lot of my friends' life, that I would just want to encourage to look at this, the water solution. And I just recommend everybody just go get the ebook, because then you can see exactly, or read this or listen to this a couple of times. There's a lot of information to digest, but it's Light Water, LITE water.
Light Water is the brand. drinklightwater.com is the website.
And I'm going to order the bottles for a couple of people, and some of the seawater stuff for my mother. But also, I just appreciate you so much. And
thank you, Gina. I feel that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor. And I'm really excited. We had a great talk, and this, again, such an important topic. So everybody, if you need any information from me, this is Gina Cavalier at the Liberated Healer Podcast, and you know where to find me. And we can get a hold of Victor. I'm going to link everything in there so you can find it. And there you go. You guys drink some water, some good water.
Less is more.
Less is more. Okay. Bye for now.